Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is the first video in the series for learning Excel in our group. And I want to start immediately with the first exercise, exercise 1. And it's shown on the screen. The instruction says we have two sheets in this Excel sheet. The first sheet is the salary schedule for ABC Nigeria PLC. And the second sheet is instruction on how to carry out the assignment. Most of these assignments are assignments that are given to people that we usually have in our workplaces. And almost all the examples will be things that we usually meet in our day-to-day schedules. Now let's just delve into the work. The instruction says senior staff start from level 7 and above. Junior staff start from level 6 and below. So on the schedule that was given, we have headings like serial number, staff ID, staff name, grade level, step, basic salary, transport allowance, housing allowance, utility allowance, total pay, union deduction, tax deduction, NHF, pension contribution, total deduction, and the name of bank, then the net pay. So these headings, there are some that were not given. You have to prepare the salary for the month of October 2013. For instance, transport allowance was not given. However, the formula to compute it is given in number 3 in the instruction. It says transport allowance is 40% of basic for all senior staff and 25% for other staff. So now the first thing you will do is you sort them. As you can see, the grade level is not arranged. It starts with grade 10 for Deborah Umar, then Adamusali grade 12, then Elias Francis 14. So the grade levels are not arranged according to the grade levels of the staff. So the first thing you do is you highlight the whole data starting from the headings. So you now go to data, sort, and you click my data has headers, so that the headers will appear when you are trying to sort. And we are sorting by, when you click sort by, all the headings will now come out. That's the reason for clicking this my data has headers. If I did not click this my data has headers, to only show the column numbers, I mean the column letters, column A, column B, column C. So I'll not be able to know which particular header do I sort by. So as a result of that, I now click my header has, my data has headers. And I select grade level, which is GL, and I click OK. I now want to set either the highest grade level should come up or the lowest should come up. If it says smallest to largest, it means the smallest grade level will come up. If I say largest to smallest, the largest grade level will come up. It's more appropriate to say largest to smallest. So I select largest to smallest. And it's also sorted by value, not by cell color, nor by font color or by cell icon. It's only by the values that are contained in the cells. So the value is either large or small. So I now select GL as my sorter column, then sort of value and order by largest to smallest. Now I click OK, the highest grade level will come up while the lowest will come down. And I'll click OK. As you can see, I now have grade level 17, 17, 17, followed by 15, followed by 14. When you scroll down, you have the lowest grade level as the lowest item there. If you find any grade level that has plenty grade levels, it will arrange all of them at the same time, like 17, 17, 17, 15 is only 1, 14, 14. So by doing that now, I should be able to calculate my transport allowance, my housing allowance, other allowances according to the instruction given. Now the instruction says transport allowance is 40% of basic. That's of basic salary for senior staff and 25 for others. So which means if I want to compute 40% for all senior staff, which is level 7 and above, and I just come to the salary schedule, I select, while I'm selecting the transport allowance where I will type the formula, I make sure I scroll down up to where I have grade level 7. The last person for grade level 7 is Ramotu Kida. So I now select the whole column from the first person with grade level 17 to the last person with grade level 7. So I just type my formula. I say it's equal to, it says 40%. I either say it's equal to 40 divided by 100 times, then I select the basic salary of the first 40 divided by 100 multiply by, divide by is /, multiply by is star. So multiply by, then I select the basic salary for the first tab. And since I want to type in the whole range that I selected, I'll just say Control Enter. And it will be entered for all the areas that I selected, which means 26,000 is 40% of 65,000 naira. 30,400 naira is the 40% of 76,000. So if I scroll down to the last person, Ramotukida, 18,600. 40% of 18,600 is 7,440, as you can see here. Then for the remaining staff who are junior staff, I select the whole cells up to the last one, and now say the formula say 25 is equal to 25/100 star. Then I click on Fatima Zakari. That is her basic salary, which is 13,000. I click on it, and I say Control Enter. I finish computing my transport allowance according to the question. Then I scroll up again. Housing allowance. What was the instruction? Instruction says housing allowance 24% of basic for all staff. So this time around, I'm going to compute 24% for everyone of basic salary. So I select the whole data for all staff, irrespective of their grade level. I say it's equal to 24 divided by 100 multiplied by, then I select the basic salary of the first staff. And I click on this is 5,000. Be very careful not to select transport allowance because we are computing on basic salary. So I now click on this is 5,000. I do Control Enter, and I've computed all my housing allowance. Next, I now compute utility. It's a 10% of basic for only junior staff. So for senior staff, which is grade level 7 and above, they don't have any utility allowance. So I come and select all the senior staff from the first person, Mariam, who is grade level 17, to the last senior person, which is grade level 7, and it's Ramatukida, and I put 0 for all of them. 0, Control Enter, all of them now have 0. It's showing minus instead of 0 because the cell was formatted to show slash or hyphen as 0. However, you can format the cell to show 0. And now I click, I select Format Cells. It shows the dialog box where I should select the format I want. As you can see, same costume. So I now go to number. I click on number and I say use 1,000 separator so that if there's any 1,000, million, billion, there will be a 1,000 comma to separate them. And I make sure this 2 is also there, which means decimal places will be 2. It show in 2 decimal places. Let me show you the option you may choose here. Then I click OK, and I have 00 all through for utility allowance of senior staff. The junior staff, which start from Fatima Zakari, I select the whole field from beginning to end. And what was the instruction? The instruction says 10% of basic for junior staff only. So I go back and now say it's equal to 10 divided by 100 multiply by, and I select basic salary, which is 13,000 for Fatima Zakari, and I use Control Enter. Then I have all transport allowance, housing allowance, and utility allowance. I go back to instruction, I finish instruction. Instruction, I finish instruction 5. Instruction 6 says tax is 5% of basic for senior staff and 2.5% for others. So I now come to salary schedule again. For tax deduction, for all senior staff, I select all senior staff, remember from level 7 and above. So I stop at Ramatukida. Yeah, I say it's equal to, they say 10% in the question, no, 5% of basic for all staff, for all senior staff. It's equal to 5 divided by 100 multiplied by, then I select on basic salary of Mariam Hussein, which is 65,000, and I do Control Enter for all the staff. That is for all senior staff. For junior staff, I select the tax deduction for all junior staff. And the question says is 2.5%. So I now say is equal to 2.5 divided by 100 multiplied by, and I select the basic salary for Fatima Zakari, who is the first junior staff. Then I Control Enter. It will now enter for all the junior staff. Next instruction, NHF is 8% of transport allowance for senior staff and 5% for junior. So I now come to NHF 8% for senior. I now scroll to NHF. I scroll up so that I come to the first staff, who's this is to the side. So I now have NHF for all senior staff from 17 to grade level 7. I select the senior staff. I go back to instruction and find out it's 8% of transport allowance this time around, not basic. So I now select is equal to how many percent? It's equal to 8 divided by 100 multiplied by transport allowance, which is 26,000. I click on 26,000 for the first senior staff, Control Enter. and I have for all senior staff 8%. I scroll down, I select all junior staff from beginning to end, go back to instruction and check, it's saying 5% for junior staff. I'll come back here, I say it's equal to 5 divided by 100 multiply by, then I click on transport allowance, which is 3,250 for all, control enter for all junior staff. Then the last instruction is pension, 10% of housing for all staff of housing allowance. So I now come back to salary schedule, I select all staff as pension contribution, I select all the staff from beginning to end, is equal to 10 divided by 100 multiply by, then I select the housing allowance, 15,600 for this first person, control enter. I have all the pension contribution for everyone now. Now, remaining computation of my salary. We know salary, total pay means all the allowances plus basic salary. So I want total pay for the first person on my schedule. What I need to do is to sum up basic salary, transport allowance, housing allowance, and utility allowance for this Mariam Hussein, who is the first person. So there are several ways to do that. I can decide to do summation. I just click on the total pay for this particular staff. I type is equal to SUM, which is sum, open bracket. Then I select from basic down to utility, and I put enter. It has added for only Mariam Hussein. I have two ways also to calculate for the remaining staff. I either click on that of Mariam Husseini, then I move my cursor until it becomes black cross by the bottom right-hand side bottom of the amount I'm selecting now, as it's shown now. I double click, and it is now computing for all the remaining staff. Or alternatively, I can just click and drag. I click when it becomes black cross, I drag until I reach the end of my data. I now got the total pay for everyone. Now, total deduction. For total deduction, just like total pay, we add only deductions, union deduction plus tax deduction plus NHF plus pension contribution. So I will do the same thing I did for total pay. I click on total deduction, I say it's equal to sum, or I can even just click on total deduction and click down to union deduction, and I just go to home, and I have auto sum here on top. So I click on auto sum. It's automatically computing the summation of all the items I selected. However, you must make sure that your cursor is on where you want the computation, the addition to be. Then I now do one of the two, either to click and drag, or to make it black cross and double click. Then it's gone. I get all the total deduction. Now net pay, we all know what net pay means. In your salary, when we say not net pay, it means your total gross pay minus your total deduction. So I now click on net pay for the first person, and I just say it's equal to, then I click on this 106,600, which belongs to the first person. Then I say minus, and I click on total deduction for the first person. So the total net pay of the first person on the schedule is 98,460. Then we know how to do for the rest. I just make it black cross and double click, and I have total net pay for everyone now. Now, next item, we go to the instruction. Let me move this side. You are required to prepare salary for all employees, calculate total net pay for each bank. Now, the last step is I have net pay for every person there. However, the different banks, I don't know how much is going to which bank as net pay. Unity Bank, I have it mentioned here for the first person. Then it's also there for another person down. I have Main Street here, I have under Mainstream, I have Fidelity here, and so I have several Fidelity, several banks. Now, if I want to bring out all the banks as one only, I select the column of banks, the whole column of banks. So if I want to select a column, I click on the column letter P now. I click, I say copy. Then I scroll to the side. I'll come to any available column. Let's go to the blue column. I click on the blue column on the first row of the blue column, which is WA. Then I now paste it. Anything you copy on Excel, if you want to paste, and you just select where you want to paste it and put enter, it will copy. Then I now go to data, remove duplicate. By removing duplicate, it means any bank that is mentioned twice, 3 times, 4 times, 10 times will be put out so that I have only one name for each bank. I click on remove duplicate, which is on top here. When you click there, Excel is asking me which column do you want to remove duplicate from? It's column W, automatically selected. I click OK. And I have names of all the banks now, from Unity Bank to Jais Bank, which means I have only 15 banks mentioned several times. So I just copy the names of the banks, I put them here. Then because they are overlapping into T, I pasted them in S. And because they are overlapping into T, I double click, I bring my cursor in between S and T because I want to open up S. I double click on S. Then it will now open up and show me names of the banks only. I want to compute the number of staff. How many staff are with Unity Bank? And I'll click on T4 to get total staff of Unity Bank before I get the amount. So to get the total number of staff for Unity Bank, I say is equal to, I use a function called count if. It's equal to count if. This count if is a function that has options. When I finish typing count if, I now put open bracket. I assume me range. Excel is asking me which range do you want me to make count of? It's range. Actually, names of all the banks. So I select from the title of the bank. I scroll down to the last mention of bank, which is Main Street. Then I now do F4. Alternatively, you can see from the formula bar on top, he said I'm selecting P3 to P184. So I can use function F4 if I'm using a laptop. Then I can just press on F4 if I'm using a desktop, so that it will now be absolute. I use function F4, and you can see now I have $P, $3, column, $P, $184, which means I'm fixing from the beginning of the range I'm selecting to the end, which means even if I move, it will still continue holding that area. So I now put comma. Excel is asking what is the criteria? That is, what do I look for? What do I count in this range that I selected? So I scroll up and I click on the first item, which is Union Bank. I mean a Unity Bank. I click on S4. Then I put enter. Excel is saying it found 12 counts of Unity Bank, which means Unity Banks are mentioned 12 times. Only 12 staff have accounts in Unity Bank. So now to get to the rest once, I just double click and I have the number of banks for each item. Now, if I want to be double sure that what I did was right, I come to the last bank there, Jais, and I say total, so I can get the total of all the banks. How many counts do I have? So I now do my home auto sum. I now selected where I want you to sum. I put enter. I have 181, which means I have 181 staff in the whole of this list. 12 from Unity Bank, 13 from Main Street, Keystone 12, so in that order. To confirm now, I scroll down and count how many banks do I have in total. You can see I have 184 lines, minus the first lines, which are the headings, 3 of them. 184 minus 3 will give you 181, which means I'm okay. I have 181 mention of banks there. So I now bold it. Then to get the total amount, we use a function called sum if. I say it's equal to SUMIF, open bracket. As I said, every function has options. So the option of this one is saying range. Where do I get range that I need to count? I select the same range that I had before for banks. So I now select from name of the first bank to the last bank, which is Main Street. I do my F function F4, so I become absolute. I do comma, it's asking me for criteria. As usual, my criteria is the name of the first bank, which is Unity Bank. I click on Unity Bank. I don't do absolute here because I want to drag so that it will calculate for other banks. Now I do comma, it's asking me some range. If I find Unity Bank here, which range do I add? Of course, it's net pay. So I select from net pay to the end, to the last net pay. The selection here must be the same with the selection of the bank's names that you have, which means I must select from, I have P3 to P184. So whichever range I'm selecting, now I'm doing Q. I must do Q3 to Q184 because net pay is in Q. So I do function F4 as well. Then enter. When I put enter, I now have the total summation of amounts for Unity Bank. As usual, I click and drag or I add the summation and have summation of total for each bank now. Then I go to under where I have total, I do auto sum and I have the total 7,497,192.15. I can do my designs so that it will look good. I just come to on top where I have bold, italics, underline, then there's the border, tick or whether tick or all borders. So I click on all borders. It's just for design purpose. Then to find out whether this total agrees with the total of amount that I have as net pay, I scroll down and add the total of net pay. Total of net pay showing zero here because I click and drag, I remove the zero, I do auto sum, and I have 7,497,192.15, which is the same figure of my summation here. This is the total of what I have, and the problem is solved. Thank you very much. Everything. That was a long video. I hope it will go. I use Zoom.